In the year 1086, a king demanded to know everything about his kingdom, summoning his nobles into a torchlit hall to announce a survey unlike anything England had ever seen. William of Normandy had conquered England 20 years earlier, but he understood that winning a crown in battle was far easier than holding it securely. To control the land, he first needed to measure it, because true power came not only from swords, but from knowledge. So royal commissioners were sent across England with a single mission, riding through villages, forests, and farmlands, carrying the authority of the crown. They were to record every village, every field, every animal, and every owner, leaving no corner of the kingdom unexamined. Nothing was too small to escape the king's notice, and scribes carefully documented details that most rulers would have ignored. They counted how many plows worked the soil, calculating how much food and wealth each stretch of land could produce. They counted how many pigs rooted in the forest, because even woodland grazing rights translated into measurable value. They counted how many mills turned along the rivers, knowing that every rotation of a water wheel meant grain, profit, and taxation. The questions were relentless, and the answers were sworn under oath, as villagers stood before Norman officials bound to speak the truth. For the first time, England was being reduced to ink and numbers, its living landscape transformed into organized lines on parchment. The results filled 2 enormous volumes bound in leather, heavy books that physically carried the weight of a nation's wealth. Later generations would call it the Domesday Book, a name that captured the final authority of its contents. Its name hinted at judgment, as final as the day of doom described in Scripture, where every account would be settled. Because once something was written inside, there was no appeal, and a sealed entry became law in the eyes of the crown. The survey revealed who owned what and how much tax they owed the crown, turning land into revenue with calculated precision. It exposed the immense transfer of land from English nobles to Norman lords, making visible the dramatic shift in power after the conquest. Castles rose across the land, symbols of a new ruling class, standing tall over villages as permanent reminders of Norman authority. And beneath it all, the king could calculate his wealth with precision, counting silver and resources with confidence in the accuracy of his records. The Domesday Book became the ultimate instrument of control, allowing William to govern through information as much as force. He created a snapshot of England at a single moment in time, preserving the structure of society exactly as it stood in 1086. Nearly 1,000 years later, it still survives, carefully preserved as one of the most important medieval documents ever created. Not just as a relic, but as a window into medieval life, revealing how ordinary people lived, worked, and paid their dues. A king's demand for answers became one of history's greatest records, transforming an act of control into an extraordinary legacy.